genuinely think this is the most nervous I've ever been to film a video. This video is going to be hard to make, but I think I have to make it because I've spoken about it like 500 million times and I kind of need to prove to myself that I can make it. So let's talk about mental health. So as you've guessed from the title, I am going to be talking quite openly about my anxiety. I have spoken about this before in a video, but that video was a long time ago and I can't even watch it back because it's just so bad. It gives me second-hand embarrassment, first-hand embarrassment, all the kinds of embarrassment. So I'm hoping this one will be somewhat better. I know if I did sit down and talk about my anxiety free reign, then I would just be talking for hours and the video would have no structure and I would just go off on a million and one tangents and this would be the longest video ever known uploaded to YouTube. So to help me out slightly, all my friends and people on social media have given me loads of questions which they're interested in hearing about when I talk about mental health at uni or anxiety in general. Put all of those questions together and I'm going to answer them in this video. One of the most common questions I actually get asked is how long have I had my anxiety? It used to be when I was a little girl, like really little, like 5-6 years old. I was really quite outgoing, happy, energetic. There was no sign of anxiety. I started to think I had it about school time where I would just be so bad in social situations where I'd clam up, I'd get really hot, really shaky, I wouldn't be able to get words out my mouth because my mouth would go really dry, my heart would be racing a million miles a minute and it was just a generally unpleasant experience. And at that point mental health still had a little bit of stigma, so I was not quite strong enough to start talking about it openly to my friends or family or anything like that, so I just kind of kept it to myself. It was about year 9 where I started to think I might have anxiety. And it just kept on getting worse and worse. End of my first year of college, I finally got diagnosed with anxiety. I went to doctors and I explained it all to them and they referenced me to a company called iTalk, who I spoke about in my first video, and they were really good as a company. They really helped me with my anxiety and everything. And they diagnosed me and put me through some therapy, which was really nice and helpful of them. And I thought it had worked long term, but it was not the case, as we'll get to with some of the other questions, but for the short term it did work, and so that was where my kind of, I don't want to say journey, but that's where the anxiety journey started from. So the next question I've had is, how has anxiety affected my life at uni? It definitely is different handling anxiety here to what it is handling it at home. And mental health sucks wherever you are, whether you're at home, on holiday, at uni, at college, at school, wherever you are. If you have anxiety, it sucks. And when I first moved to uni, I thought I was handling it okay because I had friends around me who live in London. My flatmates were really nice and welcoming. My course mates were really nice. At the uni I'm at was really supportive. They made sure I knew what networks were available to me. And me being the idiot I am, don't do this, I thought, no, I'm fine. I don't need those network supports. I'm handling it fine. I'm an adult now. I can't keep relying on support to help me with my mental health. That is not how life works. You don't have someone there the whole time to help you. Help yourself, sort it out. So I powered through and I ignored the anxiety in my head until it got too much. I was under so much stress that I couldn't sleep, and eventually the stress got too much and it was affecting me in my everyday life, and then that was when I was like, maybe I should start using the support systems. It's impacted my life at uni in various ways, so there are questions to break this down which I'll go into, but so for example my coursework and my exam stress is a different kind of anxiety to the stress I have at uni with just living in London and just living away from home and making friends and stuff. So that question's quite broad, how it's impacted my life at uni. It kind of depends on what aspect of uni you're talking about. But overall it has impacted it, some for the better, some for the worse. And I'll answer them questions when we get to them. Did it take a lot of consideration and discussion before you went to uni? I'm not gonna lie, not really. I was so determined that I was going to go to university, I was going to be a children's nurse, it was going to happen, that although my anxiety was there and I couldn't forget about it, I was so stubborn that I was like, I'm absolutely not going to uni because of my anxiety. If I was to not go to uni, it would have to have been for a reason that was a lot bigger than just my anxiety. And I know for a lot of people, the anxiety aspect is enough to stop them going, and I understand it is completely different depending on how you suffer. So how I suffer with anxiety will be different to how someone else suffers with anxiety, but for me I was just adamant that I was not going to not go to uni because of it. So I just kind of applied to the unis I wanted to go to, I got into the uni I wanted to go to, and just took every day as it came. I didn't at one point think I can't do that because of my anxiety, which I'm really grateful for, and I'm very glad I did because I'm now really happy that I'm here at uni studying a course that I love. It's the first time I've had to take a break during a video. I'm literally shaking with anxiety at filming this, that's the irony. Did your mental health have an impact on what uni you chose? So I kind of touched on this in the last question. No, it did not, because I was so set that I was going to uni. I had my dream uni in mind. If you don't know, I am at King's College London and I am studying children's nursing, and I was so set in my ways. I was like, this is the uni I'm going to. This is my dream uni, one of my dream courses, I have to do it. So, and at one point was I like, I can't do it because of my anxiety, because I was so set that I was going to get in, I was going to study that. Did you seriously have to consider how and where you moved due to uni? So, because I live in Basingstoke, I cannot commute to London every day. I mean, I could, but it would be very exhausting emotionally, physically. It would just be long days, it would be a nightmare. So I always knew I'd have to live in London. And ironically, that was the thing I was least anxious about, because moving out for me, I can handle that, because I was moving to London, which is a dream city of mine. I'd always wanted to live here, not just because of the theatres, although that does help. It's a really big city. I feel like there's a lot more diversity here, so like I have quite an unusual sense of dress. In Basingstoke, if I go out wearing what I want, people are like, what is she doing? Here, nobody bats an eyelid. London is full of so many people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different personalities, that even if you really don't fit in, you still kind of fit in, if that makes sense. So I'd always dreamt of living in London, and so when I applied to King's College and when I got in, I was like, I'm going to be living in London, my dream city. So that was the part of uni I was least anxious about. Has uni improved or worsened your mental health? This is what I meant with one of the first questions where I said, how has your life changed at uni? This is what I was going to try and briefly touch on. It's done a bit of both. So it's improved it because I live alone, essentially. I have my flatmates, but they're not like spoon feeding me. It's not like living with your mum and dad. So I do live alone. You're completely in charge of your own work. So if you do revise for your exams, if you do your essays, that's all on you. If you don't do your exams or you don't do your essays, that's also all on you. It's up to you to show up to lectures. It's up to you to show up to placement. It's up to you to do everything. You're in control of your own life. It is like being an adult, which is exactly what I expected. And so because of that, it's definitely improved my anxiety, because I'm like, I can't just sit here in bed feeling anxious all day. That's not going to get me anywhere. I applied to this uni, I worked hard to get here, I need to make it pay off. Because I think if I just laid in bed and let my anxiety control me, I'd feel a lot worse than I do if I get out of bed. Because I'd be like, well, I'm wasting my opportunity just staying here in bed. I am not getting anything done. The situation's only going to get worse. If I don't do any work, I won't pass the end of my first year, I won't graduate, I won't blah, 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 blah. And it spirals on like that. So it's improved it by giving me a kick up the arse, essentially, and being like, get out there and do stuff. And like I said, that is just personal to me. I understand that other people who suffer with anxiety have it better or worse than me or whatever. It's all personal to you. So while I might be able to get up and get out of bed and do stuff, I know sometimes it can get to a situation where it's so bad that people can't do that. And I genuinely do feel sorry for you if that is the case, because I know anxiety is awful, and I am really happy that I am able to push myself to get out of bed and carry on doing stuff as if it's a normal daily routine. My anxiety does not cover what everyone else goes through. This is just my personal experience with it. It's definitely improved it with making friends as well, because obviously there's no one here to make friends for you, so I will just now go up to people and start talking to them, which is like, if you told me 3 years ago I'm going to just start talking to people really randomly just because I want to say hello, I would have laughed at you. I would never have thought I'd been able to do that. And now I can just go up to people and be like, hi, and just start a conversation, which is really nice. And they're always quite happy to talk back, which is nice. They don't shout at you or look at you weird or whatever. They're happy to talk and make friends with you as well, which is really sweet. So the worsened part is that because I'm on my own in a big city, I do kind of sometimes feel a little bit isolated, and that's not necessarily it's anyone's fault, it's just the way it is sometimes. And the more isolated I feel, the more anxious I feel. So you can see how that works. So say for example there's a day with no uni lectures and everyone in my flat is busy and I haven't got any theatre trips booked, I'll sit in my room, especially look in a small room like this where you're seeing the same four walls. I get a bit agitated, and then that's when my anxiety tends to go up, and especially if I'm stressed it will go up even more, and then I'll start thinking things like, well, nobody likes me, I don't know why I'm here, and the anxious thoughts just build and build and build. And especially now that exam season is coming up, those anxious thoughts are kind of increasing, which is why I've started seeing therapy. We'll get to that in a bit. So in that sense, uni has worsened it slightly. I still don't see myself as a uni student. Like, the work I produce, I can't make myself see it as uni standard. I think I'm stuck in college. So every time I go, right, I'm like, this sounds terrible. Work aspect, that's also kind of worsened it a little bit because I doubt myself and I'm my own worst critic. So it's a bit of both really, improved and worsened. What is the support like for mental health at your uni? They are really good. From the moment I told them I had anxiety, they were really nice, where they told me all the options that were available to me, where I can go get support, how they'll work through me with it. And I was an idiot and I didn't seek help when I first came to uni. If you do have a mental health problem and you have help offered to you, take it. It wouldn't be there if they didn't want to help you. They do want to help you, so take that help, for goodness sake. I wish I'd done it sooner. So I see a therapist slash counsellor slash coaching person through my mental health support at uni, and every week she's been helping me achieve personal goals that I have for myself, such as like improving self-esteem, having less dark and depressing thoughts and more positive ones, improving self-confidence and stuff like that. Whatever she says, it makes perfect sense, and she's really calm about it. She's not judgmental at all. She's really lovely. I personally have benefited more from the support at King's College than I have from the support I received years ago through iTalk. And I personally think that's just because I prefer seeing someone face to face and being able to gauge their vocal tones, seeing their facial expressions, having a real person, than being on the phone. And I can genuinely feel and see myself improving through King's Wellbeing as opposed to iTalk, which I previously used. That is just my personal experience, but I have noticed a difference. How has your mental health impacted your relationship? Oh, goodness gracious me. This is the other question that comes into the how has uni impacted your mental health. Well, like I said, it's really good because being on my own here at uni means I have to make my own friends for myself, which I would have done anyway, but it's sometimes nice to have someone introduce you. But here I was completely alone. I didn't know anyone at all when I moved to London, apart from some friends who weren't actually part of the uni. They were just from London. When it came to uni itself, I was probably the most anxious I've ever been on my first day, because I was like, everyone here is so smart. And I was forgetting that I was also smart to an extent. That's why I'm there. But I was like, they're so smart. They're all so cool. They're so pretty. They're blah, blah, blah. I was complimenting them to the high heavens, and then really putting myself down. And obviously that's not what you should do, which is what I'm working on, because like I think I have good qualities as well. It was really nice for me to be able to go up to people and just make friends with them. That was really quite a big thing for me, which doesn't sound like a big thing, but it was a big thing for me. And I found that at uni everyone is so supportive. So my close friends are all aware I've got anxiety, and they've always said, and they always have followed it through, that if you need anything from us or if you want us to do anything, please let us know. And if I feel like I'm having a bad anxiety day, I'll be saying, guys, I haven't got the best day of mental health, please be aware of that. You don't need to do anything, but just know that this is my situation at the moment. And they're really kind about it. They're so supportive, and they're also lovely, and they're just really good with my mental health, which I'm so grateful for. And luckily everyone I've met at uni is so nice, genuinely. It's like they're not being nice to me because they're being polite, they're being nice to me because they are my friends, and it just means the world. The only downside is I can go one of two ways when I meet people. I will either instantly trust you in like 3 seconds flat and that's it, we are friends instantly, or it will take me a very long time to trust you and you'll think I'm coming across really cold-hearted. From what I can gather at uni, the majority of friends I made, I trusted within about 3 seconds. And the same with London, like all my friends who I've made within London, not necessarily within uni, but within London itself that I've met at theatres or whatever, I've gone to the point where I trust them in like 3 seconds. That can sometimes be a bit of a disadvantage because I've been told that I can come across quite full on, and I think that's because if I don't come across full on, I come across really cold and like I don't care, when that's not the point at all. So I tend to go a bit crazy when I meet people. I tend to be quite full on. The only way I can describe it is I'm like an energetic puppy when they meet a new person. That's like me when I meet a new person. And majority of people who I've been quite full on with still speak to me now, so they haven't been put off yet, which is a good sign. I think something I just need to do is find a happy medium where I can talk to people so they know that I care without being cold and without sounding like an energetic puppy. And I've really got to be like quite strict with myself, like, Layla, you need to calm down and speak to them normally. They won't think you're annoying, they won't think you don't care, they'll think you're just being a nice person. So I do kind of have to give myself a pep talk in my head as I'm talking to a new person. Do you feel your anxiety is getting better? Yes, I do. 1,000,000 times I do. If you just told me like 3 years ago, or maybe even a year ago, that I'd be living in London on my own, going to see theatre shows nearly every night by myself, living the life I'd always dreamt of, completely, almost to every detail, I would have laughed in your face. I would have genuinely done that because I would not have believed it for a second. But it is true, I am living in London, seeing theatre shows every night. I am living the dream I'd always dreamed of. So I clearly did something right. At the start I was quite cagey about the fact that I was receiving help for my anxiety, and I was quite cagey about the fact that I had anxiety at all. But I'm now talking a lot more open about it, and I'm a lot more happy to talk about it to the internet, for example, and my friends, because I know there is a lot of people who suffer from this. I am definitely not alone, and nobody should feel like they're suffering alone at all, and luckily I don't. And the only reason I really started seeking help is because I thought that with the stress that I was under with uni and the exams and the essays, it's better to start receiving help when you first realise you need it than being aware you need it and ignoring it and then getting help when it's really, really, really bad. So I knew like I was starting to get stressed, so my anxiety was starting to go up, and I knew if I left it and it got to this time where the exams and the essays are fast approaching, I would be a wreck. So I got help at the exact right time for me. And I know it's not always that easy for people, it's quite hard for them to speak up and get help, but in my personal experience it's really helped, and I'm really glad I did get help. And because of that, my anxiety has improved so much. Like, even in the short time I've been at uni, my anxiety has gotten so much better in terms of how I handle it and how I go about daily life and how I view myself and how I view situations around me. Everything's just really improved, which is really nice. I'm aware I'm talking really fast, I am really sorry, but this is going to happen every time I film the anxiety video, because every time I get stressed or anxious I just talk a million miles a minute and I just can't control myself. So I am very sorry. I hope you can kind of understand the gist of what I'm saying. What helps you deal with your anxiety? Funny you should say that. I'm sure you guys know where this is going now. Going to the theatre really helps with my anxiety. Namely, 2 special shows currently running in London in the same building, The Great Gatsby and For King and Country. I had to slide it in somewhere, it's me. We obviously knew they were coming. I'm being serious though, all joking aside, theatre is honestly like my therapy. I made an entire video about how theatre is my therapy. That's how much theatre is my therapy. If I've had a really, really bad day with like anxiety and I've pushed through it to get some work done, I will feel shattered at the end of the day. But it sounds stupid, I feel like I need to have a little bit of a reward. So I will go onto TodayTix or a show website or like any website and just spontaneously buy a theatre ticket and I'm off. It used to be The Great Gatsby when TodayTix did £20 tickets. Now I'll go see like The Great Gatsby or For King and Country or The Great Gatsby or For King and Country. You see where this is going. Or I'll go see something like Everybody's Talking About Jamie or like Matilda, something you can get good tickets for at quite last minute. So the theatre really does help. My therapist actually said to me, what's the one place where you're at your happiest? And I said genuinely the theatre, because my anxiety when I step through the doors is just gone. I've noticed that as soon as I go to Gatsby's drugstore, where Gatsby is, as soon as I step through the door, all my worries and anxieties and stresses of that day are left outside. And when I am in that building, I am solely focused on the show that I'm seeing. And it's not just for Gatsby, although that is the most obvious choice. It's the same for King and Country, it's the same for Everybody's Talking About Jamie, for the Book of Mormon. The theatre is just where I can be completely at ease, relaxed, myself, happy, anxiety free. Can't quite describe the feeling properly because it's just unlike anything that I feel anywhere else. I am at home in a theatre. And not only that, I feel like, especially with immersive shows, that when you go to see them, because you're so involved, you don't really have time to think about anything else because you're so focused on being involved in the show. And it's just nice to focus on people that aren't you. So even if it's not immersive, if it's just a normal stage show, you're focused on the characters and the story, and the emotions just overtake you. It's something completely different to your everyday life that you can focus on for a few short hours. What is your advice to people who have anxiety? This is where it gets a little bit tricky because, like I've been saying throughout the video consistently, this video is my personal dealing with anxiety, and so what might work for me might not work for other people. Although I am able to carry on living a happy, normal life in London, I know some people would not be able to do that until they have had help to deal with it, or they might not be able to do that at all, and that is absolutely fine. There is no one trick really with how to deal with anxiety. It's literally just trial and error. And I can say that because I have done trial and error, believe me. The amount of techniques and meditation and therapy tricks and all this stuff that I have tried is ridiculous, and I finally found one that works at my uni. I'm very grateful to have found one that works for me, and my advice would be, if you haven't found a therapy or a technique or something that works for you yet, please keep persevering. You will find something eventually. If your anxiety is really bad, or even if you just have anxiety at all, definitely don't suffer in silence. Definitely seek help if you can. Even if it's just confiding in a friend or a family member, that helps so much. Like, I know I have a therapist, but if I have a problem and I'm not seeing her for a few weeks, I know I can just say to a friend, I don't need you to say anything in response, but I just need to talk to you about what I'm feeling right now. And they are more than happy to do that. And I know sometimes you can feel like a burden, but that is absolutely not true. Your friends are your friends and they want to help you. The same with your family. They are there for you 100%. And this is something that I've only just got used to hearing myself. And so absolutely believe them when they say they're there for you. Absolutely use that. And my one bit of advice that I would say I wish someone had given me is don't let your anxiety rule you, because for a long time I did. I was like, I can't go to the theatre alone. I'm too anxious for that. And I wasn't too anxious for that. I was just anxious about the idea of going. Once I was there, I was fine. It was just I convinced myself I was too anxious to go, so I didn't go, and I didn't enjoy stuff, and I knew that if I carried on like that, I would have regretted not going more than I would have regretted anything else. Like I said, I know anxiety or any mental health problem is not easy, and it's completely unique to every single person. So whatever I say, make sure you find something that works for you. But just because it worked for me, it doesn't mean it will work for you. And you might find something that worked for you that won't work for me. That's just the way life goes. How do you find confidence to wear the clothes you do with your anxiety? Whoever sent this question in, I'm guessing follows me on my various social media. If you haven't seen it, the names are in the description box. If you haven't seen my social media, I have quite a outrageous sense of fashion. I'll try and put some pictures in here. So obviously whenever I go to Gatsby, I have like a choice of 2 Gatsby costumes I can wear because I'm just extra. I do have 1940s dresses in Basingstoke that I'm going to be bringing back for King Country. I have 60s dresses, I have a TARDIS pattern skirt, I have bumblebee tights, I have a rainbow jumper. I like wacky clothes. I don't like fitting in with normal jeans and a t-shirt, although I will sometimes wear that, but I'd rather wear like really outgoing clothing. And I guess that's kind of contradicting myself. The whole thing I have with my anxiety is I don't like standing out as me. I like standing out as a character, but as me, I'm like, I need to blend in. I'm getting a lot better at not doing that, and I think the clothing is one of those ways I've learned to deal with it. So when I put on these like wacky clothes, I do start off a bit like, well, people are going to laugh at me, they're going to judge me, I look so ridiculous. Because they're the clothes that I chose, they're what I want to wear, they are my personal preference. And for me, that is normal to me. It's normal to me to wear weird clothing, just because it's something that I really enjoy doing. I like wearing stuff that sticks out. I think it's just because I know that I'm being myself and I'm not trying to blend in, that it makes me really happy, and they kind of give me confidence. So I don't have confidence to wear them. I put them on and the confidence comes to me. The more wacky the clothes are, the more I love them. So when I put them on, I feel confident and I feel happy knowing that I'm being myself and I'm not trying to blend in. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. They are just me. And I know that the people who are friends with me will appreciate that I am wearing what I want to wear, even if they might not wear it, that's what I want to wear, and so they'll be happy for me and they won't mind. And those people who do mind and they leer and jeer and shout weird comments at me, they don't matter to me. They are not my friends, they are just strangers on the street, and I can just quite easily brush those comments away. They are just my personality shining through in clothing form. I saw you spoke online about acting and anxiety, and can you talk a bit more about that? This person also must follow me on Instagram/Twitter, because yesterday I posted a load of tweets and Instagram story pictures talking about my acting and my anxiety. If you don't know, I would love to be an actress. Like, I would sell vital organs to be an actress. And I'm seriously, strongly considering the idea of doing a master's in acting after nursing. That's a story for another video. I love acting with a passion, and I think there's something about going on stage where I'm not me anymore, I'm hiding behind a character, so whatever happens, whatever I say, whatever I do, it's completely in that character's shoes. It's not me that the audience are reacting to, it is my character. And I get completely and utterly sold into a role that sometimes when I'm on stage in a role, when I go off stage, it's like I can't even remember what I did on stage because I was so in that character's mind. And it's a very weird way to look at it, I know, but that's the way I look at it. I think what this person is referring to is like, how can I do acting with my anxiety? And I actually have friends who are actors and actresses, and a couple of them have anxiety as well. And I think they've said similar sort of stuff to me, where because they're taking on a role, their anxiety isn't even part of the equation. Like, off stage, I am me, and I am my anxiety as well. On stage, I am someone completely different, and my anxiety goes away. And I think that's just the way that I see it. And I love acting so much. Ever since I was a child, I loved acting. So I think even though I grew up and my anxiety became part of the equation, the acting never went away. So I feel like the acting overpowers the anxiety part of my brain, if that makes any sense at all. And I think part of that is acting gives me confidence. So the more I act, the more confidence I get. so the anxiety goes down. So like the more I go to immersive shows, I come out of immersive shows bouncing with confidence. I'm like skipping home where I've just been doing a show where you're essentially involved, and like that's my dream thing because it's acting without acting. So I think the more I act, the more confidence I'll build, which is why I go to immersive shows so much. And I feel like, especially with the therapy I'm receiving now, when my anxiety goes down, my confidence will come into play. So then I won't be an anxiety-ridden actress, I'll just be an actress who has anxiety, if that also makes any sense. How do you handle going to places alone, such as the theatre, and how do you handle immersive theatre? Everyone who's asking me these questions is doing me a huge favour, because these are things I really like talking about. I think the first show I went to go see alone was Book of Mormon, when I won the lottery, because there was no one there with me, and he said, do you want to enter the lottery? And I felt bad being like, no. And I'd always wanted to see Book of Mormon, so I entered the lottery and I won it, and I went to go see it by myself. When I first moved to London, I could not do it because I was like, everyone's going to laugh at me. The theatre is like a family event, or it's a place you go to with your friends. One teenage girl on her own is going to look so weird. I can't do it. And I was just set in that ways. And then when I won the Book of Mormon and I went by myself, I realised it wasn't that bad at all. I mean, for 3 hours, you're not really talking to anyone anyway because there's a show going on in front of you. After the Book of Mormon, I realised it was a really good experience, and so I just kept on pushing myself to do it more and more and more. And there are still certain shows where I get anxious about being by myself, but then after a while I find that anxiety subsides, and I try to kind of people watch without being creepy. So I listen to excited kids chattering about the characters they can't wait to see, or I hear people who have seen the show before talking about what they can't wait to see differently this time, and I find it really nice. I also find it in theatres, the front of house staff, they have noticed I'm on my own quite a lot, especially if I go to the same show quite a lot, and so they tend to be quite chatty as well and really nice and welcoming, which really puts me at ease. And I find in the audience people are really chatty, so a lot of the times I've been on my own in the audience and the people next to me or either side of me have just struck up a conversation, and it's been really lovely. I've actually made friends through the theatre by going by myself, which is really sweet. So when I started I couldn't do it, but now I know that it's a nice experience from start to finish, and I know that there's no need for me to be anxious, so I can just go and do it without a second thought. I don't know how I went 20 years of my life without knowing immersive theatre existed. Not gonna lie, the first time I went to Gatsby was with my friend Lauren, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was that scared, because I was like, I don't know what immersive means, didn't know what to expect. Not knowing what to expect and not really knowing what immersive meant put me so much on edge, and it was something completely different to anything I'd ever done before. Genuinely was close to having an anxiety attack on the street. We all know how Gatsby went because of that first video I made, and we all know how For King and Country went because of that video I made, and we all know how Neverland went because of that video I made. And I handle it because I think with immersive, A, it's literally my cup of tea because it's acting without acting, and because I go to the same show multiple times, I could essentially be a different person, character, every time I go, and nobody need know about it because it's acting without acting. Like every time I go you get something different from it, so you can give different responses to the same question you may have been asked more than once. You can see different people's perspectives, you can go through different journeys, meet so many people at immersive shows that are from all different places. So like I've met people from different countries, different backgrounds, people who hate immersive theatre, people who love it. It's just such a diverse audience, and I love the whole aspect of immersion. I think it's great. I guess there's no such way as handling it. When I went to that first Gatsby show, I didn't know I was going to handle it, and I could have come out of that show hating it or loving it, and I don't think that's to do with anxiety. I think that's to do with personality. So for me, I loved it, but I've taken friends who are like, I can see why you like it, but I wouldn't do it because they hate acting with a passion. So I think the reason I can go to immersive shows and handle them is because of my acting passion, not because of my anxiety. What techniques did or does your therapist use? Let's do this methodically. The way my therapist works is you give her goals you want to work on that session and you work on them. So the first session I said to her about how I tend to have quite dark and dramatic thoughts. By that I mean it's something as simple as I will be revising my biology and I won't remember a fact and my mind will just instantly spiral. I'll be like, well, if I can't answer that question, I'm not going to be able to do the exam. If I can't do the exam, I won't pass first year. And if I can't pass first year, I'm not going to pass second year. I'm not even going to make it to second year. I'm not going to graduate. And my mind just spirals as when my anxiety is at an all-time high. It's horrible. And so the first session, we talked our way through that, and she said, so how do you view those thoughts? I know they're dark and dramatic and unrealistic, and I know that I should just tell myself that that's not true, but I can't do it. The way I view it is my brain is kind of split into two halves. So you've got the rational side. You will get into second year, you will graduate, and just because you fail one exam, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the line. You are smarter than you give yourself credit for, stuff like that. And then you've got the irrational side of my brain, which is all those dark and dramatic thoughts we just talked about. And the way she explained it to me is that, not just for me, but for everyone, we have like a fixed and flexible mindset. The fixed set is where you're going to fail, you're not going to get into uni, you're not going to pass, you're blah 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 blah. And the flexible mindset is like, well, you can do this, or this is an alternative option, or this does not mean it's the end of the line, and blah blah blah. The more relaxed, positive sides. So what she gave me to do was a task, which is, she said, every time you have negative, dark and depressing thoughts, to write them down, and then visibly flip the paper upside down and write the complete polar opposite of that. And I found that really has helped. I've got a book which I do keep a track of my anxiety in, and I use that to do the dark and depressing versus positive, realistic, rational thoughts. And I find that visibly writing it down and seeing it flipped on the other side has really helped, and I've noticed a definite change since then, that my dark and depressing thoughts, when I think them, I can visibly flip them around, and I can think on the positive sides and the more realistic side. So when I'm thinking, I'm not going to pass uni, I'm going to fail, I'm not going to get a job as a nurse, the rational side is like, take a pause, take a minute, and let's think about this logically, and it does really help. The other thing I asked for help on the first session was ways to deal with stress. The whole reason I started getting therapy is because I knew that as exam and essay stress increased, anxiety would increase, and I would just be a wreck. And I was right. I'm glad I got help at this point. The way she told me to deal with stress, and she said there's a few things that people should be doing consistently, which has been proven to bring down stress levels and make people feel more relaxed. Now the ones I've got are keep moving, so I will go on a walk if I get really stressed in my flat. I have many places in London I can go to: the theatre, Gatsby, for King and Country, local parks, bookshops, anywhere that's not my flat, so just getting out and going on a walk. I also am looking into taking some really basic ballet classes at Pineapple Studios, because I used to do ballet in Basingstoke, but I was the bottom. I have 2 left feet. Just something to get you moving and get you out of your building, and just something different. So keep moving is one of them. Invest in relationships. This does not necessarily mean romantic ones, but also like go to your friends for help. So by messaging them saying, this is how I feel, you don't need to say anything, can you please just listen? Inviting them around for a cup of tea, going out for a cup of coffee, anything simple as that. Just investing in relationships. Never stop learning. Now, she told me that I might be tricking myself with this because I'm at uni, of course I'm learning, and that is initially what I thought. But what she meant is learning about yourself. When I heard learning about yourself, I thought, what? But she said, go to the theatre more by myself, go to a restaurant by myself, spend time in my own thoughts, not thinking about anything to do with uni, and just see where my mind takes me. So I know that my mind tends to wander. I'll go off into a daydream, and I'll think about the future, and I'll think about the past, and it sounds really deep and emotional, but it's true. Like, when I sit and I just learn about myself, and I just let my mind wander, it's really interesting the sort of stuff I think about. Give to others and be gratitude. For this one, she told me to start journaling and call it a gratitude journal, which is exactly what I've done, which is what this blue book is, and I found that's really helpful. And she said for this one in particular, she wants me to do this when my stress is getting really high. So if I've done a whole day's work and I'm really, really stressed out because of it, take something as small as 5 minutes to just stop, take a pause, take a deep breath, do a bit of journaling, write down what I'm grateful for, and then carry on. And I have found this the most helpful tip of all so far, because I find that I can be so focused on work for so long that I'll do like 6 hours of work, and then I'll stop and I'll be like really hyped up and really stressed out about all the work I've done, and then I'll convince myself it's not enough work. So what I'll do is I'll take a deep breath and I'll take literally 5 minutes. I will time myself, take 5 minutes. I'll do a little bit of work in this, which is just my thing. Like, it's nothing to do with uni, it's just completely free of everything to do with uni, it's just something to relax me. And then when that 5 minutes is up, I will start again with the work in a much better mindset. And then the last one is savouring the moment. I have gotten so much better at this. It is so easy today to just be on your phone all the time, like tweeting and Instagramming and Snapchatting and blah 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 blah. I myself am notorious for this. If you've seen my Instagram posts, you'll see my stories are really long, you'll see that I write paragraphs under my Instagram photos. But since my first therapy appointment, I've taken so much time out of my phone, spent time in the real life. So like when I go to stage door to meet actors and actresses, I won't immediately be like, can we get a photo? Can we get a signature? Okay, it was nice to meet you, bye. I know that they want to meet people. I used to be like, photo, signature, leave, because I think they'd want to go home and put their feet up. But I now will actually have a conversation with them because I know that I'm not annoying them. If they did want to rush off, they would rush off. They wouldn't talk to you if they didn't want to. So I'm spending a lot more time actually physically talking to people at stage door. When I'm sat in my flat and I'm bored, I won't just scroll through my phone, I'll do something productive. When I'm out on the bus, I won't just listen to music and look at my phone the whole time. I'll look out the window or I'll read a book on the bus. It's just limiting my social media and phone time has really helped me. And I think that social media and phone time can increase anxiety levels. This is something I kind of want to make another video on. It depends on if people are interested. Another thing she told me to do was start meditating. And initially I thought of like some person somewhere up on a mountain on a yoga mat, really at peace with themselves, meditating that way. And this kind of contradicts what I just said. That's not what it means. I have got this app called Headspace, and it's an app on my phone. I know, it's on my phone, I know. But it's called Headspace, and for literally like 10 minutes a day, I can listen to that, and it's like a form of meditation without being like some yoga guru on a mountain. It's really simplified and it's really helpful for people like me who have never meditated before, and it's really helpful for people who are quite busy in their lives and have like jam-packed days, and it's literally just 10 minutes out of your day, and I find it really helps to kind of ground you and collect your thoughts and really calm me down before I go to sleep actually. It's normally the last thing I do before I go to bed because it really, really relaxes. That's two of the techniques she taught me, and that was in the first session. Yesterday were the other two techniques that she taught me, and one was dealing with my own self-critic. I am my own worst critic, and I'm not very good at giving myself credit. And the way she dealt with this is she gave me a piece of paper, and she told me to write down various things in the boxes. There was stuff like, what are you good at that no one else is, or what can you do better than other people, what is your biggest achievement today, and stuff like that. It was actually embarrassing how long it took me to fill it out, and there were parts of it that I could not fill out without her guiding me. And she said that she wanted me to fill it in, and then she wanted my friends to fill it in, and my friends did fill it in for me, and looking back at it I'm like, that's true. And it really helped because it made me realise things about myself through my friends that I wouldn't have realised before. Personality traits that I don't see in myself that my friends do notice. It's just them pointing those traits out that make you realise there are parts of you you didn't notice that are there. So it was really helpful in that way. I hope that makes sense. I'm aware this is quite fast paced because of my anxiety. I can't slow down my speech, which is really frustrating, but I hope this makes some sense to you. So she said every time I am doubting myself, she wants me to write down thoughts that I'm doubting and get someone who is not related to me, like a friend, to write down what they think next to it. So say I think I'm not very good at acting, I'll write down I'm not very good at acting, and then my friends will write down what their take on that is. She said to keep carrying on that technique until you do eventually start believing what your friends tell you. Then that will help with my inner self-critic. We will see how that turns out, because it's only been like a day since she gave me that technique, so I haven't really trialed and tested it yet, whereas the other two I have trialed and tested. And the final technique, she said, is role play. I've talked about this briefly, but because I have no confidence whatsoever, she said to go out of the room, come back in the room as a character and speak to myself as that character and give myself advice on how to build confidence. She asked me who my two favourite characters in terms of confidence are, and I said Jordan Baker from The Great Gatsby and Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. If you've read or seen The Great Gatsby, and the same with Harry Potter, you will know why I love them very, very much. If you want a whole video on why I love those two, please let me know, because I will talk about it for hours if I talk about it now. But basically they're my two favourite characters for confidence, and so what she wants me to do with building my self-confidence is whenever I feel a lack of it, to literally take the persona of those characters and talk to myself as them to kind of give me a confidence boost, to fake it till I make it, so fake confidence until you get confidence and you're not faking it anymore. And the final one is for every sad slash depressing slash not confident thought I think, she wants me to write it down, and then she wants me to write down what would be Luna's response to that, or Jordan Baker's response to that, and my own response to that. And then when I'm feeling really low and not confident at all, to read through that and remind myself that I am a confident person, that I'm good enough, and blah 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 blah, and just remind myself of all the good things. One thing I also forgot to say is that my therapist, I told her about my acting thoughts, and she said she noticed in our sessions that when I talk about acting and theatre, she said she noticed that I physically light up and I get really animated and really happy, and she can kind of see the passion coming through me when I talk about the things I love, such as acting and theatre. And yesterday she asked us to do a little bit of roleplay where I step out of the room, I completely take on a character, I come back in the room and I essentially talk to myself through this character and give myself some advice. That was so much fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly because I was acting at uni. That's really cool. And she said that it was almost like watching another person when I came back in the room as a character, because she said all this confidence came from nowhere that she could visibly see, and she said she can see where all those thoughts about my acting and anxiety stem from. Okay, I think I answered all the questions. If I missed out your question, please put it in the comments. I will reply. I'm really sorry for talking so fast during this video, but when I talk about my anxiety, I tend to fiddle and not sit still and speak really fast and get really hot and bothered and flustered. It's just because I'm not used to being so open about my anxiety, and I think it's just because this is the first time in a long time that I've really spoken about it on camera before. My first video, that does not count at all because it was just a mess. This probably is just as much of a mess, and I'll say exactly the same thing. But I'm hoping this is somewhat understandable and somewhat better. I hope this has helped some people or informed some people or anything at all. I'm now going to go have a very, very, very long drink and stay away from the internet for a good 3 hours and then edit and upload this. Thank you so much for watching. I'm aware this is probably the longest video ever, and bye.